I feel very lucky, actually, that I never had a job. That I started in a band when I was 15, and I'm still in a band and I'm 78. It doesn't make sense to me, but I'm very happy about it.
It's really good to see you. And Roger, for the first, it's a huge honor to have a while to talk with you about, some music history. And I know that, 20 minutes, it's too short to sum up everything, but I want to ask you something. So, how do you remember the time when Machine Head album was created? And I'm curious if you created everything from scratch, or did you already, have an outline of songs to record? And if so, how many of them were there?
Well, we started the Machine Head thing about 2 weeks after finishing an American tour.
Okay.
So we didn't really have a lot of time to prepare. There's only one song that I can think of that had a sort of an idea anyway. It was Highway Star. Highway Star started while we were traveling on a bus.
Okay.
Going down to a concert in England, South England. And in those days, frequently a journalist would travel with us to, do a critique or a story or whatever. And we were on the bus, and this journalist, who, we knew who he was, his friend, and he sidled up to Richie and said, "How do you write a song?" And Richie grabbed a guitar and went, "Gag, gag, 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 gag," just like that.
Okay.
And but the idea stuck. I mean, and when we got to the gig, we thought, actually, that's a nice idea. And we did actually, I think, perform a little bit of it on stage that night just to try it out. But it wasn't really finessed until we got to the Machine Head recording session. Other than that, most of the songs were written and recorded in the same day. So we worked very quickly. There's good musicians in the band. We can change course really very easily. And so we just jam things out. Richie is the instigator of most of the riffs, but not all of them. Some I do. Mm-hmm. And usually it's an odd kind of band because we start with the instrumental first, and we don't even think about what the song's about until afterwards. And that's because the musicians in the band are so good that they just love to play. And so Ian Gillan, and with my help, tends to sort of wait till the backing track's finished and then figure out what's going to go on top, which is backwards to what most people do.
Okay.
And the smoke and the water thing happened because when the fire stopped us using the casino, Claude Nobbs, who was in charge, managed to find another venue, like a small theatre, not far. Mm-hmm. And we sat up there and started to record, but we only managed to do one track, which was around about midnight on that day. And it was just a jam. We didn't know what it was going to be. It was a mid-tempo with a kind of interesting riff, and we threw out a very quick arrangement, and then the police stopped us. Mm-hmm. So 5 days later, we managed to find the Grand Hotel and get set up in there. We were desperate right now because we only had the Rolling Stones mobile for 3 weeks. We thought, 3 weeks is enough to make a record. Well, now it's less than 2 weeks,
Yeah, for sure.
So we were really up against the wall. And I think maybe that helped. It kind of brought us together as a band. We were trapped in this situation. We had to finish this album, and we were running out of time. And we were short one song. And we thought, well, let's listen to that thing we did in the small theatre. And after the fire, I said to myself, I woke up in bed one morning and said, "Smoke on the Water," out loud to an empty room. Mm-hmm. And I thought, wow, that's an interesting title for a song. And so that's what we used. And so let's write a song about what happened here. So, the lyrics and songs come from real life. They come from stories of things that happened to us or things we read in the newspaper, or whatever it is. It's all part, that's where the lyrics come from.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
The whole thing's very instinctive. Yeah. We rely on instinct.
Roger, why did you decide to go to Switzerland to create the Machine Head album there? Wouldn't it have been easier to stay in England or, other other place?
Well, there's a reason for that. When we were making the album before, Machine Head, Ian Pace was changed a skin on his snare drum, and he was walking back to the studio through a corridor, and he was just tapping the drum, and it sounded loud in the corridor. And by the time he got into the studio, all that sound went away, and it was just a studio. It's designed to stop sound in a way. And so we thought, well, actually, Pacey set up his drums in the corridor because he liked the sound better. And we thought, right at that time, we were going crazy on stage. And yet in the studio, it's a very kind of sterile situation. There's no audience, there's no sound, there's no inspiration, really. So we thought, why don't we just make a record in a venue, as if it's a live gig, but without an audience, just to capture that kind of crazy sound. And that's the reason we were looking around for a place to do it. And so Montreux became available. They were, available, and so we booked it. And then, we need the truck. We got the Rolling Stones truck, and it was all kind of a bit of an adventure. Of course, it turned into a lot more of an adventure than we anticipated.
Yeah, and one of the most interesting topic is the influence of Zappa's family on the Machine Head album. Firstly, Frank Zappa, who was, with you in Switzerland, and then I'm not sure I'm, pronounced correctly, Dweezil, the name, Dweezil, yeah. Who gave a new quality, the sound, on this album. And I suppose it's not coincidence that Dweezil, happened to have that opportunity to work with this material now. Am I wrong? Am I right?
No, you're right. Although it wasn't our choice. This coming from the record company. The record company wanted Dweezil because of obviously his father's connection. And we'd met Dweezil, I think, 4 or 5 years ago. He got on stage with us and played a couple of songs with us when we played Montreux Jazz Festival. And I didn't really get to know him much. He was just a nice chap, and he came and played guitar, and that's all I remember really about that. And when they said that they wanted Dweezil to mix the album, well, I'd already mixed the album for the 25th anniversary, so I thought, well, why do you need another remix, But they said no, they wanted Dweezil. I think it's probably a marketing thing. They thought it was a cool idea,
Okay, I totally understand that. So, and I have to ask about Dweezil for the second time. He was asked about the Machine Head album, and he admitted that he had no idea how you came up with, such musical combinations. How to combine a classic sound and a bit of, guitar virtuosity, and at the same time achieve commercial success. So, did you have a recipe for what it was supposed to look like?
Well, it's actually only looking back in time that you realize that there was a recipe. But at the time, we didn't have a recipe. But the only thing I've noticed is that there's 3 really good musicians in the band, Richard and John and Pacey. And Gillen and I are relatively naive musicians. And I think, I have this kind of secret suspicion that it's the combination of naivety and finesse that made the band. But it wasn't designed that way. It just happened that way. We just, you deal with what you got. Well, you don't think about it that much.
I really want to know what's in your mind for sure, right? When you compose something or...
I don't know. We all start from sort of jams, really. It's all musician-led. And in the typical writing session, we'll sit around and just jam around until we find something, that's interesting, and work on it.
Okay, so I want to ask you about this bit of your virtuosity in your music. On the Machine Head Deluxe version, we can find a 20-minute concert version, Child in Time. And, when you're playing most of your song, what it's like with live performances during the jamming, how much do you allow yourself to be carried, by the music, or how many percent you are fully control this?
Well, good musicians have a hard time playing the same thing again and again.
Okay.
They can't help it. They just move around, and on stage there was a great freedom to express yourself. And I remember doing rehearsals, and then we go on stage, and there was nothing like the rehearsal, because things would happen on stage that you didn't expect, and all of a sudden you realize you've been actually playing something for 20 minutes. It's I don't know. We come from a sort of background of, maybe people thought we were a progressive a prog rock band. So in concert, it was a kind of special occasion. It was not like a pop concert.
Mm-hmm.
It was a rock concert, and there's a big difference there. It's a huge difference between pop and rock, even though we share the same facilities, the same industry and stuff like that. Rock music seems to be a life term, if you like, whereas pop music is kind of here and gone very, very quickly.
Do you think it's the rock concerts and the rock music is a bit a spiritual feeling or something like this?
Yeah. Things evolve over time, and it's not, you don't even notice they're evolving. You just go on and on and on, and it's only when you look back and you think, oh God, we've changed. So I don't know, life just opens up, and it's hard to analyze it sometimes.
Okay, and so how does it feel to know that after 50 years, the material from Machine Head album is still loved by old fans and new generations, and continue to shape their musical tastes?
I suppose in a word, the word that comes to mind is humbling. I'm just constantly surprised at the course of my life and our life as a band. I can't, normally when you join a band in the 70s, it's going to last a couple of years or 3 years, and then you kind of lose the public and you go back to being what you were before, which is, nobody. Mm-hmm. But that didn't happen. And it's all down to the fans. What we did obviously had a lasting value. I don't know why. I feel very lucky, actually, that I never had a job, that I started in a band when I was 15, and I'm still in a band and I'm 78. It doesn't make sense to me.
Okay.
But I'm very happy about it.
Yeah, I just realized that you are become immortal for of what you are doing, because every time we come back, to the example, maybe I'm a Leo or Smoke on the Water, we will think about you every time we do. How do you feel about it?
I'm a fan of music, and I share the same thing. I had my heroes growing up, and I thought, how do they do what they do? They're wonderful. Where did songs come from? And of course, that was the curiosity that drove me back when I was a kid. How do you do that? I'm still learning, by the way.
Okay, so Roger, thank you so much for our conversation. It was really, really huge pleasure, and I hope to see you soon in Poland again. And
Oh, I'm sure we come back to Poland fairly infrequently, but regularly.
Yeah, for sure. And your concerts are totally amazing. So,
well, actually, the Polish people make them amazing. It's down to the people. The people are great. I love Polish people.
And we love the music of the Purple for sure.
Well, we agree on that.
Thank you
Well,
so
thank-
much.
Thank you
so
for your
much.
smile. That meant it a lot. That was
Okay. Thank you so much and have a nice day. Bye.